Welcome back to the war in Ukraine now, and pressures mounting on Russian forces to achieve gains along the front line after a series of counter-offensives against the Ukrainians fail. It comes as Russia says it has no more plans to mobilise more men to fight in the conflict. Now, questions are emerging around the future of the Wagner mercenary group following the death of its leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, in August. Let's discuss all of this and more with Professor Michael Clark. Michael, great to see you as always. So let's talk about this sort of need and potentially reality of Russian counterattacks. Are they being successful?
I mean, all these things are linked, Wolf. The information that we have is that, and rumours, that President Putin said to Shoigu, the defence minister, a couple of weeks ago, you've got to achieve results by the end of the month, meaning the end of September. We've got to actually regain the initiative during October, before the bad weather starts. We don't want to be just being nibbled away at all the way along the front. And that he was very tough with Shoigu about that. And partly as a result, we've seen lots of local counterattacks all the way along the front, from Marivka, even north of that, at Kupiansk, Grand Bakhmut, at Avdiivka, at Velika Novosilka, at Orikhiv. The whole front, I mean, almost 600 miles of front, the Russians have been counterattacking in small groups, in local counterattacks. None of them seem to have worked. A couple of them have got through a bit better than others, but none have worked. And the Russians have been moving some of their best units around. And the VDV, the airborne, have taken some real hits. Teplinsky, he's a very popular commander of the VDV. They really like him. He's a good professional officer with integrity. He looks as if he's been sidelined, if not removed, because he saved the 31st Brigade from stupid counterattacks, and he's protected them. They pushed the 76th and the 7th Brigade regiments down to the south, and they've suffered terribly down there by being thrown into these local counterattacks, which are not getting anywhere. So, I mean, the Russians have pushed everywhere. The Ukrainians aren't pushing themselves at the moment. They're just resisting these counterattacks. And the Russians are running short of people, even though they said we're not going to mobilise, because that would be very unpopular. Not going to mobilise again, but nevertheless, they're trying to mobilise by stealth. They're trying to bring as many people into the forces as possible, offer them contracts, make it very attractive for them to take even a 6-month contract.
We mentioned the Wagner Group in the intro there. I mean, are they playing a big role? Could they be revitalised?
Well, they might. You know, Prigozhin, as we know, went down in the air crash after the failed coup. His will, which was revealed this week, and there's no reason to disbelieve it, left everything to his son. And so, you know, young Sorovikin, Pavel, looks as if he's got the whole amount. And the whole family have been divesting themselves or distributing their wealth around different shell companies.
Is he super wealthy?
Oh, absolutely. It's said to be hundreds of millions, but most people think it's into the billions. And so the Prigozhin himself, the Prigozhin family, look as if they're trying to reconstitute the Wagner Group. And Pavel said he's been in contact with the MOD in Moscow to talk about getting Wagner back into Ukraine, where they need the numbers. But Putin wanted Troshev. And Andrei Troshev, is the man that Putin would prefer. And this is him. Troshev is the acceptable face of Wagner as far as the Kremlin are concerned. So who is going to run them? Pavel, the son, or Troshev, the man who Putin would prefer?
Well, presumably mercenaries respond most of all to one thing.
They do, to money.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the Wagner's business empire is huge. And so we'll see who can harness that the best. But the Russians want Wagner back in the fight in Ukraine. Originally, they wanted them out of Ukraine because they'd become such a nuisance. They now need them back in Ukraine because they need the numbers.
Professor Michael Clark, as always, thanks so much.